Hello and welcome to Kim's Cozy Corner. I'm Kim and I have a helper today to help us do more of the summer harvesting. It is September 17th and we are going to continue to do harvesting in our garden, and we are going to start with potatoes first. For those of you who follow me, you will know that my second round of potatoes have not done very well. They got some kind of disease and they died back prematurely. And I've just let them sit in the containers for almost 3 months, if not a little longer. I believe I planted these in mid to early June, and now it's been about 90 days. And we are going to pull these out, see what we get, and put these containers to bed for the winter, if you know what I mean. And so we're going to start with potatoes, but we have many other harvests to get to today. And so let's just get started. All right, this container is a container of purple Viking and Pontiac. One is more like a mid-season harvest and one is a late potato. But you can see here that some of these have completely died back and some of these still have a little bit of green to it, but they all ended up with some type of disease on them early in the season. But let's see what we get. Ooh, I see potatoes. They're small potatoes. So this is a purple Viking. It's small, but it's a potato. We will eat it. And this is red Pontiac, which is also small, but we'll eat it. These will eat up very nicely. So let's just get through this container. I'm not expecting a great harvest at all, just to be perfectly honest with you. I'm expecting a very poor harvest because of the way they died back. Now we will take this soil and add it to the neighbor's garden as we are continuing to improve the soil over there. Now the potatoes that I put in these containers are potato seedlings, right? Some seed potatoes where I had extra from my earlier planting that if I didn't use them, I was going to just toss them. So I'm glad that we're able to use them and get somewhat of a harvest. And we're going to call it the end of the year for potatoes after we finish today. Now, once I get all of the beds over at my neighbors established, so when I mean established, I mean there's hard clay soil in their beds, and we are going to, on top of that hard clay soil, put this really light, fluffy, well-draining soil, potting mix is what it is, on top of those beds and build those beds up so that they have good quality soil over there as well. And once we've done that, any extra soil that I have, I actually put them in huge, like 50-gallon trash cans and put them up for next year. So I always have plenty of soil on hand, and I'm always renewing the beds and filling them up because every year they do drop down. We will look at all of the potatoes at the end of my very little pitiful harvest. When your potatoes and your plants, if they start showing signs of disease, you really should segregate them from your other plants so that it doesn't spread. But I was traveling. I wasn't looking at my potatoes at all. I was doing good to harvest what was in the garden that was ready to go. The disease had spread to all the plants before I knew any different. So I just left them all together since they had all had the same issue. All right, we're moving on to the next one. Lehigh. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, Lehigh normally does really well for me. But again, the tops of these are all died back. So let's see if we get anything at all from this pot. All right, so we are getting some potatoes on this one. Oh, that's a nice one. There we go. There's 4 nice potatoes. Let's see what's in the bottom. Oh, there's another. All right, let's pour it out and let's see what else we're going to get. If you didn't know, I consider When it comes to white potatoes, I consider Lehigh to be my best producing overall potato in the garden. It tastes amazing. It holds together really well if you're trying to do boiled potatoes. When I'm canning potatoes, they hold up very well in the canning process as well. So it's a really good potato if you're interested. I get most of my potatoes from the Maine potato lady. I think is what it's called. The Maine, like the state potato lady. And they do all different kinds of potatoes. And I am very impressed with their potatoes. I put my order in the winter. I believe I put my order in last time in like December for the season so I could make sure I got my potatoes early. The prices are decent. I've been growing their Lehigh potatoes now for 2 seasons, and both seasons it is my best performing white potato. Of course, outside of Yukon Gold, because everybody loves Yukon Gold. But Yukon Gold and Lehigh are performing, I would believe, very close to each other as far as the production of those 2 potatoes. Here's my Lehigh potatoes. And I only had 1 or 2 plants in there. I believe it was 1. Considering the disease, I'm not happy with this. I'm not unhappy with this harvest. Lehigh. Okay, so this is our pitiful potato harvest off of the half dozen containers that we have. In this very front one here, with the red potatoes here, these were Pontiac and Purple Viking potatoes. They're teeny tiny, but we will eat them just the same. And just behind there, we have 1 container of some white potatoes, which are Lehigh potatoes. And so that's our pitiful harvest. The other 4 containers that are sitting here had nothing in them. And so we're going to move that soil over into the neighbor's garden to start building up the garden for next year. So now that we're finished with this very quick, pitiful potato harvest, let's start harvesting some other things in the garden. Okay, we're finished with those potatoes, and now we're going to harvest some of the other vegetables in the garden. And we are going to start with this right here. This is a thunderbolt. Now, I talked about this thunderbolt a week ago. It is the largest, sweetest, thick wall pepper that I've ever tasted. And so we're going to pick some thunderbolt today. We're also going to pick some, I think this is Jimmy Nardello. Let me double check. Yep, these are Jimmy Nardellos. There's 3. These are a good frying pepper. Now, they're not as thick wall, but they are sweet as well. I'm going to leave that one and let it go ahead and turn red. I have some Joe Parkers here. They're starting to turn, but I'm going to just hold off on those. Give those a few more days. And these are paprika here. So paprika is not ready. Can you believe it? I still have blooms in here. September 17th, and I have blooms. These are baby bell peppers. Baby bell peppers, and they are purple in color. Man, there are a lot of peppers on here. This is definitely by far my best bell pepper season, or my best sweet pepper season, I should say. All right, I think I'm back around. Got to be careful, I'm knocking my peppers down. Okay. My shishitos are starting to die back a little bit. This plant is completely dying. That's a cubanelle, and it looks like something's going on at the root of it. But again, we're in September. That should not be a strange thing. So I've moved on over to the tomatoes, and most of these are not looking so great. So we are going to go ahead and cut all of these out. These are blushing. These are bush steak tomatoes from Burpees. Let's take out the pieces that are not looking good and hang on to the ones that are doing well. Now these are blushing, but the plant looks good, so I'm going to leave them on just a little longer. Let's see if we can get them to ripen on up. Now these plants are diseased though. They are starting to show signs of disease. That's a new big dwarf, and it's green. It's happy. I'm going to go ahead and give these a little fertilizer too. We'll see what happens. See if we can keep them producing. At least the ones that's got something on it. If they don't have anything on it, they're coming out. Because if it doesn't already have a tomato on it, I don't think it has time to put one on and produce at this late in the season. Well, that one has end rot, but this plant is completely dead. Get it out. I'll send my little helpers over here a little later to take care of these. So I have been traveling. It looks like this one didn't get watered very well, and it needs fertilizer. So we will make sure we take care of that. This one's completely gone. And it had one on it. This is a purple heart. And it has one little green one on it. We will take that. Believe it or not, this one is trying to regrow. It's like it has all new energy coming in here, and it wants to try to grow some more. That's not going to happen. Try to provide some additional support for those that are going to continue to grow for the little time that it has left. It is the end of the season. Let's not fool ourselves. It's the end of the season. Most of these are done. We're just trying to ripen some of these last tomatoes. That one's got a soft spot. I'm going to let it stay. All right, that's it from this hot mess that's left of tomatoes in this tower. It's been a good season in this tower, but we will see if we can get anything off of the last of these tomato plants. I would say a successful season for sure. Another successful season in my tomato GreenStalk. Okay, let's move on and harvest something else. Okay, let's pick some of these black beauties. So they're black on the top and they're red on the bottom, and they're absolutely delicious. Actually, that's a perfect black beauty. Black shoulders, nice red bottom. It's nice and soft. It's going to be good eating. Well, there's a squash we missed. So that was a yellow or summer squash that we missed. It's too hard. I believe it's too hard. I'm going to take it in anyway. I'm going to try not to go too deep in the jungle here. Quite a few misshapen. I think these are Cherokee purples. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Okay, in the jungle, I got some bodacious. At least I think that's what I just picked. No, I did not. Giant crimson is what's on this side. These are giant crimsons. Beautiful color. Going in the jungle. Okay. as I come out the jungle here. All right. So I have some tomatillos. Look at the size of that tomatillo right there. Wow. And a few more tomatillos. Let me just get those in my container. Back into the jungle. All right. 2 cantaloupes. And they probably could have stayed on the vine maybe another week, but we will finish ripening these in the house. And I have been enjoying some of the cantaloupes from this particular space right here. And here are a few short videos of me cutting into one of my homegrown cantaloupes, and it was delicious. So here's that quick clip. Here's the cantaloupes that I picked last week. I picked 2. The first one I cut open was slightly too ripe on one side, but it was super sweet and delicious, such a deep orange color. This is the first perfect cantaloupe I've picked this year. And I had another one this morning for breakfast, and it was delicious as well, but it was much smaller in size. But these 2, we're going to take those inside and we will enjoy those probably in about a week. All right, I think I'm done with the jungle. Let's move on down and get some more tomatoes. So this is a bodacious, just a standard slicer, but it's supposed to be like a beef steak. And then this here is a super steak, again, small, perfectly formed though. All right, this is what a bodacious is supposed to look like. Both of these are bodacious. They're beautiful in color, perfectly formed, and one slice is almost the size of a sandwich. But both of these are bodacious. And these tomato plants are healthy. They don't look like they want to die back, and I'm not going to force them. Y'all just keep on doing what you're doing. This is a Fer-de-Lis. It's a paste tomato. It's a little elongated, more elongated than like a Roma. They're growing okay. They're not my favorite. I probably will not grow these again next year. So I won't grow the Fer-de-Lis, and I will not grow the Gilberty paste tomatoes. I am going to focus on the paste tomatoes I love and that have been successful every time. So those will be what I call the big mamas, Italian heirlooms, and most likely the pink ox heart. I'll be growing all 3 of those again next year. So this is, I think this is the Italian heirloom. This is a pink ox heart. They're small, but they've been very productive. This is another pink ox heart. And I have 2 more pink ox hearts here. Here we go. There are my 3 pink ox hearts. And I mean, I have some huge, bigger than softball size tomatoes growing right in here. And there's every bit 2 dozen or more. And hopefully they will keep on ripening and we can get some really nice tomatoes late into the season. So I am picking more of my pickling cucumbers. And I honestly I can't tell you where this vine's coming from, but I believe it's down here to my Wisconsin SMRs is where I believe these 2 are coming from. They have been the most prolific in the garden all season. There is not one cucumber and not one pickling cucumber that comes close. This particular cucumber was the first one to start producing this season, and it looks like it's the last one to stop producing. I have one of my white scallops. The white scallop is a summer squash. I think it's a Cherokee variety. This is my black strawberries here. Black strawberry. I got 4 of them. And then I think we're going to have to go to the other side. Tell you what, my one daughter loves tomatoes. I think we put tomatoes in her lunchbox pretty much every day. For all the ones that she doesn't eat all up in the garden that never makes it to a lunchbox. Sun Gold, the sweetest tomato in the garden. Nothing can compare. And they're still producing like crazy. And I only have one Sun Gold plant in the garden because I usually get way more than I want, and they like to self-seed. So they volunteer all over the garden. A deep orange color. Now that we're out of the heat of the summer, that's a good thing because in the heat of the summer, they like to split open. Now, I shouldn't have picked this one, but it fell off. But there's champagne bubbles. You see that really light yellow color? Delicious. Champagne bubbles. I believe that those came from M.I. Gardner, if you're interested in that particular tomato there. Champagne bubbles. My King of the North is still trying to produce. The plants don't look the healthiest, so let's go ahead. Let's pick these green. King of the North. They're starting to try to turn, but let's grab some green peppers as well. So it's a bell pepper, King of the North. So I am now picking collards. These are Morris heading collards that I almost pulled out about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I'm glad that I didn't because these are huge. Now they're starting to get a few bugs on them, so let's just go ahead and pick them. I didn't bring my bag out. I normally pick and cut them at the same time, but I didn't bring the right equipment out to do that, so I will have to cut them once I get them indoors. But some nice heads. And collard greens taste so much better after a frost has hit them. So I think I'm going to let these continue to grow through the first frost at least, so we can get a fresh picking of collards with a nice light frost on them. Wow, there's a lot more here than I thought. I'm not going to pick them clean, just a nice bundle for one nice meal should be enough. One nice bundle. It'll make a small meal for the family. I could have picked a whole meal for the family, but one bundle is good enough. Just don't have anything to put it in. Okay. Now I have kale all throughout my green stalks, in the garden, in my raised beds. I have kale everywhere. And this is just, what is this, 2 kale plants? And I'm going to just pick some of these. Kale is another one of those I think tastes better after they've had a light frost. But I want this one to keep producing, so I'm going to grab a few of these. We'll get these indoors. I already have a year's supply, by the way, of kale already in the house. But the harvest keeps coming. Okay. Here's some radishes that I have growing. These are icicle radishes, the white ones. And then there's some French breakfast in here. And I think it's called purple plum or something like that. But there's some radish. So I picked one of my purple cabbage heads. So this is I think it's called a red acre. It's like the golden acre. It's ready to go. Nice firm head. And I've already planted my fall crop of cabbage as well. So there will be more coming soon. And this is also a golden acre cabbage. So there's 2 heads of cabbage. I forgot to pick these. Can't forget these suckers that I planted that's producing tomatoes. Let's see if we can get them to stand up a little better here. So these tomatoes are black cherry, which I didn't pick any over there today, but black cherry is a tasty tomato as well. Not as sweet as the Sun Gold, but very tasty nonetheless. It has some of, I think, the more thin skins on them, But here's a handful of tomatoes that I'm picking from suckers. What a great harvest. Do you see all of this food? I have kale, I have collard greens, I have cantaloupes, potatoes, I have cabbage, I have radishes, and a basket full of other goodies. Thank you for coming along with me for this harvesting day. And if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, all of those great things. And I hope I will see you back here again real soon. Bye.